So again, welcome. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss our sick leave payout and the benefit enhancement that's going to begin with everyone retiring beginning this school year. The company we're working with is Precision Group, and Bruce Nelson is here to talk about that. Bruce?
Thanks, Mike. Good afternoon. Thank you for the time coming in and talking about this great benefit that they're going to provide for you this year. Like you said, I'm Bruce Nelson. We created the plan that we're going to talk to you about. And the significance of the plan is there's some great benefits for you by going through this process. And everybody will need to go through the process. So Precision Retirement Group, let me see if I got, there we go. We're a nationally recognized benefit consulting company. We do this nationally. The plan that I'm going to talk to you about is called the Prime Choice Plan. This is where the deposits will go, whatever they may be, okay? Because it might be different for everybody or not. You see some of the states that we're in tend to gravitate a little bit to the south and west, but our main office is in Chippewa Falls, so we're just not really too far from here. How this got started is quite a few years ago, we were dealing with school districts, cities, and counties. Traditionally, employers were accustomed to paying their retirees accumulated leave in a lump sum, or a W-2 wage, or a bonus at the end of the year. This was obviously a taxable event in the year the money was received. So if you're, let's just say, a school teacher and you're getting out in May, usually that contribution would come out sometime in June or July. Sometimes with some of our school districts on the West Coast, it doesn't come out until October. Whatever, that is taxable in the year that you would receive it. And that's how employers traditionally done. What we did is we created the Prime Choice Plan, okay? Because when the money's paid out to you in a form of a W-2 wage, there's no choice. It's just paid out to you. So they take out the butcher, the baker, the candlestick makers, state, federal, FICA, Medicare. By the time you actually get a $10,000 payout, it's down to $6,200. So this is an alternative, and we call it the Prime Choice Plan. We actually have 2 private letter rulings on this process, and like I said, we've been implementing this plan here at your school district for quite a number of years. It actually started with a little school district south of Madison, Wisconsin, when Andy Weiland, who's the school business official down there, came to us and said, listen, our people aren't interested in more tax deferred money. They need money to pay for health insurance. So what we did is we worked with them to create this plan. So what happens, the Prime Choice Plan converts your accumulated leave balances. Now, I'm going to just preface this. It could be an accumulated leave balance, it could be sick pay, it could be a retirement incentive. Different employers have different names for this, okay? Here it's the sick pay payout.
Just sick leave.
Okay, so it's sick leave. So that's the contribution that will go into it. What we've done is, by going through this process, is we have identified 2 ways in which the money can be deposited. If you need the money for medical, okay, you will go through an exit interview. I'll talk about that in a second. And the money will be put into an HRA, or a Prime Medical Trust Health Reimbursement Arrangement. That's just pretty short. That's pretty long for just a medical trust account. Okay, goes in tax-free. I'll go through the benefits there. If you don't need it for medical, it will go into what we call a special pay plan, or the tax code is called a 403B, which is very similar to what some of you might already have, which is a tax-sheltered annuity. Okay, this is an employer plan. The plan allows the employer, okay, your school district, to determine the retiree's individual post-retirement needs, thereby allowing an employer choice between a tax-free health benefit or a tax-deferred benefit for the employer contribution. And we do this without violating constructive receipt. And this is a real important part of this. Your school district can't come, or your city or your county, and say, listen, how do you want the money paid out to you? You want it paid out in cash? John wants it paid out in the medical. Susie wants it paid in for. That's constructive receipt. That's actually a violation. So by going through this process, we now have done a couple of things. One is we now provided choice. Okay, so now you have a choice of where the money goes and then how it's taxed based on how you use the money. So as before, you had no benefit. So here's what happens. You go through an exit interview with our office, okay, and a determination is made based on how you respond to certain questions, okay? Most of the calculus questions are really pretty easy to do. I'm kidding you, we don't have any calculus questions, okay? But they're really simple. They're trying to elicit a response. And what we're trying to determine, okay, is do you need the money for medical or not? If you need the money for medical, it goes into the medical trust. If you don't, it goes into the special payer 403B account. I'll go through the two accounts specifically. The medical trust, or the HRA, goes in completely tax-free, and it can be pulled out only for eligible medical expenses, such as post-retirement health care costs, such as health insurance premiums, Medicare, long-term care insurance, co-pays, and a cadre of other eligible medical expenses, okay? So, and it can be also used for your spouses, okay, or dependents. Our third-party administrator, we've been working with them since inception. That's Payout Benefits. They do an excellent job. And in this process, you will not have to pay any FICA taxation, any state or federal taxation at any point in time forever. Again, the money can be used for your spouse and dependent expenses as well. So what if your spouse goes in there to the dental office and there's a $500 deductible for a cap on her tooth or his tooth? Okay, you could submit for that and be reimbursed tax-free. We kind of call it the triple tax-free contribution. It goes in tax-free, it accumulates tax-free, and it comes out tax-free. The nice portion, when I talk to my public service employees, I said, this is the only way I know how to legally launder money, because it doesn't show up anywhere. You don't have to file any federal forms, okay? You don't have to let your accountant know this, all right? All you have to do is, when you need the money, submit a reimbursement claim and you're reimbursed, okay? That's what I like about it. I don't have to let the federal government or everybody else know what I'm doing with this money, because the only way I can use it is for medical, okay, or those eligible medical expenses. One of the rules that was not put in by your school district and not put in by us, it was the ACA, that's the Affordable Care Act. And on this money that goes into the medical trust, if you return to work for this employer, okay, in any capacity, okay, your balance will be suspended until you leave again. So you don't lose the money, you just can't be reimbursed for it, okay, while you're still back at the school district. Well, Bruce, I went to work and I'm cutting grass for the city golf place, okay, golf course. Doesn't count. It's not applicable, okay? It's only if you come back to work here. Now, obviously, in education, we do have a lot of people that come back, as my mom was, come back and be a substitute school teacher. In that particular situation, her account would be suspended, okay? But it doesn't go anywhere, it accrues interest, and so it's there to be used or be reimbursed for those eligible expenses that you submit for at that point in time.
Hey, Bruce.
By the way, if you sub in this district, we go through a third party, so you're really not working for
Correct.
this district.
Yeah. So you don't have to suspend it.
Yeah, so it's not applicable here.
Then you would.
If you were a coach, yeah, because you'd be on the payroll. Yeah.
However, if that season's only 4 months or 3 months, as soon as that 3 months is up, you're no longer that coach, you could submit for your reimbursements. That's a good point. It's kind of a hit and a miss in some states. A lot of states in the West, they have, and they have it here in the Midwest too. They have a third-party administrator that they work with, and then that's not applicable. So what you do when you retire, you go to work for them, and that's not considered working for the school district. You're working for a third party. So let's suppose you don't need the money. Bruce, I don't need the money for medical. My spouse is 20 years younger than me. You know, it's great, or I might even have TRICARE. Okay, TRICARE is military benefit. You were in the military and you had service there, and you're going to be taking your health insurance through TRICARE. Okay, those people, they don't need the money into the medical trust. Again, if you have a spouse that's going to be working and you're going to be carrying the benefits, maybe you don't need the medical. So let's suppose that's your case. In this particular situation, it goes into what we call our special pay plan. It's a 403B. It's a tax-deferred vehicle. This is one of the things I like about this is because when you retire, you're retiring because you got your years of service under WRS. Okay, you're not retiring to get to this money, I hope. Okay, if you are, you better rethink. But if you're retiring because you put in the years, you're gonna get under state retirement, so this is an added benefit. So maybe you don't wanna pay tax on this money right away. Maybe you say, listen, I'm gonna be getting my state retirement, my final year of service, I'm gonna be in a high tax bracket, maybe I wanna do it, take the money out next year. Well, this is the benefit, it goes in here, and you can determine when you wanna take it out based on what your tax situation is, which is another benefit that you didn't have. Okay, so the money goes into this account. It's completely liquid and transferable. So let's suppose you work with the financial planner who's your sister's boyfriend's cousin's friend, okay? And you've been working with them for years. Guess what? If they have a better mousetrap or a better investment, it's transferable. You can move the money. So again, it's completely liquid, transferable. The nice part here, again, is it's tax deferred, not tax free like the medical. It's tax deferred. Okay, down in Whitefish Bay. He'd worked at the school district. He was their athletic director for many, many years. He retired. And he says, well, Bruce, I'm going to be taking the money out. I says, oh, really? I says, we just started chit-chatting. He says, well, where are you going to go? He says, I'm moving out to Vegas. And this is quite a few years ago. And I says, well, that's great. He says, yeah, I'm going to take the money out. I want to take the money out immediately. And I said, well, hold on. Why don't you go out and get established and get your residency in Nevada? And he says, why would I do that? I says, because if you're in Nevada, you pay no state income tax. He was going to take it out when he was still a resident of Wisconsin, and he was going to be popped for about 7%. And he was getting a pretty good sized payout. So that even was better because now he had more money. So the tax deferral is really a great option. But you can turn around and take the money out if you need it. Let's suppose you're going on that Viking cruise ship down the Danube this summer and you want $5,000. Take the money out, okay? It's completely liquid. No sales charges, no surrender charges, okay? And here's another nice part. By going through this process, whatever your amount that's in your account and whatever is funded by the school district, you will save immediately 7.65% because we will bypass FICA and Medicare tax. So you will immediately receive a bigger payout by going through this process, even if you turn around and take the money out tomorrow. So that's a better situation for you. And by the way, when the FICA and Medicare taxation, you'll never pay that. Okay, so that's a huge benefit on this payout as well. 2026 IRS contribution limits is $72,000. That may or may not be applicable. Most of us would like that to be applicable, but that's what the limits are under a 403B plan. Okay, so you can kind of see the difference between the two plans. And again, the significance here between the two plans, do I need it for medical or not? Okay, give you an example. Me personally, I have a Medicare supplement. 65, you're gonna either get a Medicare Advantage or you're gonna get a supplement. Okay, a supplement's gonna be like $150 or something a month. And in that situation, if I had money in the medical trust, I could be reimbursed tax-free for that contribution until my money runs out. Okay? If I'm gonna go on another health insurance plan, maybe I'm going on my spouse's plan, and that's an extra $300 or $400, I could be reimbursed for that tax-free. Dental plan, tax-free. Eyeglasses, tax-free. So again, you look at your situation and you make that determination if we're gonna need the money, both you and your spouse. On the special pay, that's no different than any other tax deferred plan. At some point in time, when you turn 73, that's the cutoff point, you will have to start taking the money out in your tax deferred annuity, your 457 plan, your IRA plan. That's an IRS rule. So at 73, whatever you have accumulated on 100,000, you're gonna take out the first year about 3.4% of that account value. So you're gonna have a $3,400, distribution. Not much, but every year thereafter it goes up, okay, based on the table, IRS table. So in this situation, hey, listen, again, it goes in the account, it gets interest. Right now we're paying 3.25. It's not gonna rock your socks. It goes into a group fixed annuity, all right? So you don't have to worry if the market, like the other day when it tanked. Oh gosh, what happened to my money? Do I have to work an extra couple of years? Okay, money that goes in here, you have no downside risk at all, okay? So that's kind of the differences there between the two plans. Our third-party administrator, I actually own the third-party administrator as well as Precision Retirement Group. They do all the, process all your forms, they do all the reimbursements, they send out the statements, they give you interest credited on your account, okay? They answer any questions. If you have a question about a claim, they're the ones to talk to because they adjudicate the claims. So if you say, hey, listen, I have I have some type of claim and I just wanted to make sure that it's eligible, call them. They can answer that right over the phone, all right? You get quarterly statements, okay? So every 3 months, you're gonna get a statement. We would like to send those to you electronically, but you can also have them done hard copy. Or you can go hard copy and change to electronic, whatever. So you will get a quarterly statement every 3 months on your plan. And that's from them. Here's what the costs are. Like I said, on the special pay, that's pretty easy. There are no fees, no charges, no loads, okay? The medical we do have, because we have to adjudicate claims, it's a little bit more comprehensive in the process of doing it, of administering the plan. Each month, there's a $5.50 per month fee. That's an administrative cost that comes right out of your account. That's $66 a year. If you did one reimbursement EFT, okay, which we highly recommend you sign up for, okay, that's $4. So 48 and 66, what's that, 114? So that's what the maximum cost would be. Now, Bruce, what if I just wanted to turn them all in at Christmas and get one big reimbursement check and do one electronic funds transfer? $4. We don't care if you have 27 pages of reimbursements. It's still $4. So that way you can control that $4, that EFT charge or cost, all right? So if you want a check mailed, okay, that's $8. So that's what you're looking, EFT, that cuts down the reimbursement back to you, okay? And if you want the money to cover your monthly reimbursement for health insurance, that can be set up on one time. You do one form, and in that situation, we do what is called a reoccurring premium. So once you set it up one time, every single month that comes out and is sent to you to your checking account until your funds are exhausted. Okay, so that's if you're paying for health insurance or some type of premium payment. Okay, so that's the difference in, you know that up front, depending upon where you go. If you go with the medical or the special pay, you'll have access to your account 24/7, 365 days a year, wherever in the world you can get Wi-Fi. Okay, you'll have online access to forms. Our office is the 800-238-9101. That's in Chippewa Falls. And then Payout benefits, you'll also have their number direct to them. And so you'll have plenty of people. Payout benefits are on Eastern time, so they're up a little earlier in the morning. They leave a little earlier in the afternoon. Had a lady out in Peoria, Arizona, and she called up and she says, I've tried to get a hold of that Payout benefits out there. I think it's a scam. They never answer their phone. And so she called the superintendent, she called the business manager, she called payroll. She was just livid. And so my business partner, Mark, he got the call from the, superintendent, business manager, whatever. And where's Payout benefits? They're not around. And Mark said, well, they've had a little situation out there in North Carolina. It was called Sandy. It was a hurricane. And we shut all of our offices down. So Payout was closed for like 3 or 4 days. So we started doing a lot of our work up in Wisconsin to help with the individuals. But here's somebody out in Arizona. What do you get? You got to worry about heat out in Arizona. That's the most thing that you have to worry about. You don't have to. Here we got to worry about, sometimes tornadoes, but snowfall, ice, like we've had in the relatively recently. But out there in Arizona, they don't have to worry about much of anything. So she didn't understand what was going on the East Coast. And they've had that happen in the last couple of years. They've had some hurricanes go through there. But anyway, you can access all of your stuff online, so it's really easy. Again, statements are quarterly. So what we need you to do is we'll get a list of those that are eligible, right?
Yep.
And then here's our number. You will need to call and schedule an exit interview. Some of the questions for your exit interview is, what do you plan to do for health insurance when you retire? The purpose of the exit interview is to give us an idea of where you want the money to go. Okay, so if you came in, and we've had people do this, hey, listen, my spouse is really sick, I need that for her, or I have a child that's still going to be on my health insurance and I'm going to need it to basically cover their costs. You guys know some of these people are retiring and they still have kids in school. That might be a little scary, but and I don't mean grad school, they could still be in high school or junior high or whatever. So if that's the case and you have young dependents, okay, maybe the medical is where to go, because you'll always have tax-free money to use to help them or your spouse or you. So, but again, if you don't need it for medical, that's fine too. We don't care. It goes into the special pay plan, and then, it sits in there. There's no, the money in the medical, there's no sunset period. So if you want to leave it in there for a year, 2 years, whatever. We have some time with protective services when we talk to firefighters, police officers, they retire much younger. And so they don't have a need for the money right away, but they'll have a need for it in 4 or 5 years. They just let it sit in there and they know that they're going to use it at that particular point in time. A couple of things. Of the 2 plans, just so you know, there's a determination between the 2 that you need to be aware of. The medical trust you will have and need to put in your enrollment form, because you'll be sent a link to fill out your enrollment form. The medical trust requires dependents. Well, who is a dependent? Whoever shows up on your tax return. Obviously, it's your spouse, okay, or your children, or your spouse and children, okay? If they're under 26, okay, and they still show up in your tax return, they're eligible to be reimbursed for their expenses under the medical trust. Under the special pay side, you're going to have something that are called beneficiaries. quite different. A beneficiary can be anybody. Your brother, your spouse, your children. If you're gonna put down children, make sure they're over 18, okay? But you're gonna fill out who your beneficiaries are. If you don't have a beneficiary, okay, it's Bruce, B-R-U-C-E, okay, just kidding. Or Mike, M-I-K-E, no. So that's the distinguishing determination between the two. The medical, you have dependents, the other one you have beneficiaries. One of the negative things, if you go into the medical, okay, and you don't use up all the money and you pass away, hopefully that doesn't happen. It really doesn't happen very often, but I'll just give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. They should do a movie like that. Good, no, I know. And so in this particular situation, the bad part, if you still have money in there and you die, okay, and you don't have a spouse, okay, the money comes back to the district, okay? So in the medical, we want you to use that money up as quickly as possible. You don't have to, I mean, depending upon your situation, not that everybody's gonna, put the money in there and then die in 2 weeks or something like that. But we want you to use the money in the medical. Has it happened? Yeah. Okay, does it happen often? No. Most people blow through the medical in a very short period of time. That's usually not an issue, okay? And again, if you pass away and you have money in your tax deferred annuity, whether it's this plan or another plan, that goes to your beneficiary, whoever that might be. So that's the negative of the medical, all right? But like I said, that doesn't happen very often, but has it happened? Yeah, it has happened. So it's important you know that it's not gonna, if you don't use it and you pass away and there's money in there, unfortunately it goes back to the school district, yeah.
So if I put my kid down, as far as in the medical one, do they get it? Do they keep the money?
Yeah, they could use it for
They
their,
can use the money for,
Yeah.
they can use it.
up until okay, so let's say that the child is 14, okay? They would have access to that money up until they're 26, because they would no longer be technically a dependent at that time, if you were still alive.
And they have to be a dependent. If they're not a dependent, then they wouldn't be eligible. So that's the big difference
They have to
between
be
the
under
two.
26, you mean?
Yeah, but don't they have to be on someone you're claiming as a dependent on your taxes?
Yeah, but if they're a dependent, it's just like if it's a spouse, okay, the money reverts to the spouse.
Tally's 25.
But you guys are only talking about, we're not talking about that much money in this payout, right? So if you're using it for health insurance, you're gonna burn through that so fast. The most you can get is $12,000, right? It's $100 a day up to 120 days.
Right.
$12,000 isn't gonna last very long making health insurance premium payments. So you're gonna go through it pretty fast.
The other thing you could do is, let's suppose, and I've had people do this, let's suppose that you have money in the medical and you get the $12,000. And you have a $1,000 monthly health insurance bill. You can decide that you wanna basically, you can cover half of that, or you wanna cover half of it. So that's $500. So what you do is you set up an automatic reimbursement that comes in every month, and $500 comes in. So what you've done is you've taken that $12,000 and spread it out over 2 years to help with that payment. So you can do that. I mean, there are ways in which you can subsidize, if you will, that payment and make it, we call it stretching out that contribution. And we have people do that all the time.
And I understand you're gonna probably burn through it, but I'm asking, like, my kid, say she's 25, and just say something happens. I mean, I don't know how.
Sure.
Is she, even though she's not, she's on her own and she's not living with me, or, I don't have her on my taxes per se. So even though she's under 26, I can't.
If she's a dependent, that would be the determination, okay? That's actually a really good question, and I just have never had that before. What if you do have, and I can find this out what if you do have somebody that's 18, and usually what happens is if you pass away, it goes to your spouse, okay? If their child is a dependent, okay, then,
But if you're not married, but if you're not married,
yeah, it goes to the dependent can still use the money, in my understanding.
Yeah, she's on my health insurance.
That might be part of the.
But again, can they hold the money in there until forever? No. So there'd still have to be a cutoff of 26.
Right, I get that, right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if something happens, I still.
But, I haven't seen, over the course, we've had people that have died and there's been money in there, okay? But usually there's not a whole bunch. I mean, most of the account balances are below 1,000 that I've seen. So they're not much in there, because like I said, we'll blow through this money relatively quickly.
And just so you guys know, this is an HRA, not an HSA. The reason why we're not using an HSA is you cannot pay for health insurance premiums with an HSA. The HRA allows you to do that. The difference is though, an HRA is employer owned. So essentially the employer owns it, but it's your money to use until it's gone. And that's why if something were to happen, it would come back to the employer. It's not something that we wanna do, but we wanna offer a benefit that allows you to pay for health insurance premiums. And this is the only way to do it. And as Bruce was saying, the nice part about this is you pay no federal tax, no state tax, no Medicare, no Social Security. So if you get that maximum benefit, let's say you have 120 sick days, that's $12,000. You will have $12,000 to use towards your medical. If we paid you through.
minus the $550 a month and the $4 and blah, blah, blah.
Bruce, does it earn interest in there?
Yeah, you're getting right now it's 3.25 with a minimum guarantee of 1. For the longest time, we were just paying 1%, but the tax savings, I mean, on a $12,000 payout, you're probably, by using the medical, you're probably saving over $4,000 in tax,
So-
state and federal tax.
So right now it's 3.25%, so let's say you had $10,000 in there. Hold on, what is that, Bruce?
So here's,
There-
this is
That's already-
this is a good question. So when the account balance goes below, this is just a rough estimate,
That's-
goes below $4,000. Now the admin fee is eaten into your interest. So as time goes on, so when you get down to about $4,000, start spending the money, okay? Because then your admin fee will start eating into your interest and bringing your account each year will go down negative, okay? So that's why we want you to use the money. But if it's over that, I think there's a break, 4,500 or something like that, based on 3.5%, you can kind of figure it out, and then you add the, cross a 1, carry the 2, divided by 4. No, I'm kidding. But you can figure it out that it's gonna be probably around $4,500 where the 3.5% equals or is lower than, the admin fee. So,
Can we put the HSA into this, or is there, is that, would that be a benefit, or what? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the HSA is a completely different instrument. It's a different tax
Can't
code.
transfer that,
No,
no, it's
but-
not transferable.
Let's say you really just want the money right away and you don't wanna mess around with that. Me personally, I would put it, for me, because I know I would use it for medical insurance, I would put it in this HRA plan.
That's my,
Do we have a
I'm gonna
choice,
get
though?
more
You're
money,
talking about
but-
you're talking about having a meeting and then you'll tell us what we're gonna put, or do we actually have the choice what we wanna do with it? Then it's almost sounded like you're gonna determine where it's gonna go.
No, you are, as the employee.
by the way,
That's
you
not what it sounded like in this thing.
No.
No, and you know something, you're technically right, okay? When we do the exit interview, we're working as a kind of a third party for the employer, okay? And in that situation, what we're trying to do is determine what your needs are. The IRS says it's based on the needs of the individual. So if Bill comes in and says, hey, I really need this for medical, okay? Okay, it goes into the medical. Just so you know, we've never had a situation where money went into the medical and they wanted it to go in the special pay, or they wanted the money to go into the special pay account and it went into the vice versa. So we've never had that happen.
But the employee makes that decision.
Exactly, through the answer, how they answer your questions.
Yeah.
So
if you don't want it to go into medical, when you answer the question, you just say, I don't need it for medical. And then it goes in the 403B.
Yeah, you're gonna say, they're gonna ask you, well, what are you gonna do for health insurance? Well, I'm gonna go on my spouse. I got enough money to cover health insurance. Okay, cool, goes in the special pay.
They're trying to guide you into what's better for you, but.
No, I get that. It just sounded like you were gonna tell us where it's gonna go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
what it
we
sound-
do,
That's what it seemed.
we do have people that will do the exit interview and they say, what, if it were you, where would the money go? And I'd just say, based on how you answer the question, it would go into the special pay or it would go into the medical. I'd just be honest with you based on how you answer the questions. But everybody's situation is different. Maybe you need the money to pay off the house. Maybe you want to help your kids through college. Want to help them with their bill, whatever, okay? We have a lot of people that come in, and this has happened more times than you can think, but they'll sit there and say, hey, I know I need the money for medical, but I'm gonna use that to, pay off the house. I'm gonna use that to, something else. Okay, cool. Goes into the special pay account, doesn't go in the medical, even though you might have a need for medical. So that's what we're trying to determine is what your needs are.
So, yeah, kind of what I was getting at before, if you decide you don't really want to use it for the medical, you want to make sure that a beneficiary would get it, you don't have dependents or something, whatever the reason might be that you want to not use it for the medical, take it in the 403B. So you get it in the 403B, you can take it out, as soon as it gets in there, you can take it out and put it in your own tax sheltered annuity wherever you want, or you can keep it there, or you can take it out and spend it. The advantage over what we're currently doing, or what we had been doing, where we're just paying through payroll, is you had right away federal, state taxes taken out, Medicare and Social Security taken out. So if you put it in the 403B and then the next day you take it out, you're gonna pay the federal and state taxes, but you're never gonna pay the Medicare and Social Security, so you immediately get that savings. I mean, if you want the money that quick, you do still have a benefit to doing it this way, even though it is a little more work because you got to go through the paperwork and all that. But what we wanted to do for our employees is create some sort of vehicle that could be used for health insurance. That's really where this is coming from. And to do that, you have to set it up this way. We can't offer you a payroll payout or a 403B or the HRA. We can't do that. The tax laws don't allow you to do that. So what we do is you could set a threshold and say anybody over this amount has to now use these employer plans. Anyone below can just get paid through payroll. We set that up, so that threshold is $3,000. But if you're over $3,000, because we wanted to do this for health insurance reasons, this is the way it has to work. But you can still get your money right away if that's what you want. You just have to go through a little bit of a process. And there's still a benefit to it because you still save a little bit of money because you're not paying the Social Security or Medicare.
Yeah, if you wanted to, it goes in the special pay, and you talk to Ann or Carrie up at our office, or Michelle, and you say, listen, I really need this money, okay? We will set you up and give you an ACH form so that once the money hits your account, Pallion Benefits will know to flag that and do an ACH to your checking account, okay? We do withhold, mandatory withholding, whether it's our tax sheltered annuity or one that you already have, mandatory distributions are 20% federal tax withholding. Can't get around that. And I think in Wisconsin is a mandatory state withholding. So any of those mandatory withholdings, state and federal, we have to withhold that anyways on a distribution. The difference, if it goes through payroll, okay, let's just say it's a normal payout. Payout rates under payroll, they tax at a higher rate because it's a larger amount, okay? So by doing it this way, okay? You're gonna control a little bit of the taxation, but you're gonna save on $12,000, you're gonna save 7.6, so you're gonna save close to $900, $800 or $900, right off the top. So it's worth a little bit of, I would say, liquidity, to basically get a little bit better payout. And again, just another thing too, I just saw an article today in the Wall Street Journal about health insurance costs, all right? The number one cost that you will have in retirement is health insurance, unequivocally. Go on the Fidelity website, go up to the tab, they got that little mirror up there, that little thing, and put in there retiree healthcare costs. They got a great article, I've been using it for years. You will spend from the time you turn 65, and this does not include long-term care coverage, you will basically pay somewhere in the neighborhood almost $200,000 in after-tax money for health insurance benefits per you, based on life expectancies at age 65. Wife, pay more because they live longer than us, guys. So that's the biggest expense that you will have. So this is just a little option that you have to help offset that. It's not gonna be the cure that you're looking for to solve that huge medical expense that you will have, but that's gonna be the biggest expense you'll have. Co-pays, doctor visits, you'll have, prescriptions, drug prices. You can even use this money for long-term care coverage, but you're gonna have premiums. When you turn 65, you'll have a Medicare Advantage plan. They're not free because they all have, the Medicare Advantage has a deductible, $2,300, $2,500. Guess what? That's probably gonna go up, okay? Well, Bruce, I don't pay anything each month for the Medicare Advantage plan. Yeah, but you're gonna be paying out-of-pocket costs. The other thing that about a Medicare Advantage that I just went through all of this, so I can tell you. I know I don't look 65, but anyway, so in this situation, a Medicare Advantage plan, you don't pay anything each month, but you have a deductible. If you need to go to the doctor, you're gonna have to go to those practitioners that are in that plan. I have a Medicare, I have a supplement. I pay $100 and some a month. I can go to whoever I want to go to. I will be accepted by, if I wanted to go to, what's the one up in Rochester, Mayo Clinic. I can walk in, I just had shoulder surgery, didn't get a bill at all. I have a Medicare supplement, okay? Yeah, that's a monthly cost, but I can choose whoever I want to go to. I'm not limited by using their group like you are in a Medicare Advantage plan. So just some little bits and pieces of that kind of stuff. You guys don't look like you're gonna be turning 65 anytime soon. I don't look like it to me, maybe you are, but that's something that you should really look into if you got time and you're gonna be retiring. Look at that because it's not a big deal, it's just something that's it's gonna be for the rest of your life. Being facetious. So it's really important.
So the whole purpose of doing this is really just get more money in your pocket to spend on either medical or even if you take the 403B. And I like that because I'm gonna retire someday too. So it's a way to just get a little more money to you folks. Because this is the first year we're doing this is new this year, for this payout. Just know that you guys, if you finish up in June, let's say, if you're a teacher, you're done in June, it's gonna happen sometime in July. It takes a little bit more time to get it rolling. Because we have to know exactly how many sick days you have left. So we have to wait till you're actually done to total those up and then send them over. So our goal is to kind of set this up in July. And if you're leaving some point, let's say you're leaving in the middle of the year or something like that, we'll work with them to get it in there as soon as we can.
And as soon as the money comes into your account, you will receive a confirmation notice from Payout Benefits. And it will tell you exactly how much money is in your account. Once you get that confirmation, it's been funded, it's good to go, use it. Okay, so as soon as you get that confirmation, everything is good to go, the money's in the account, there you go. So that's your trigger point right there to basically know that you're golden, the money's in there. And then it will tell you how much is in there too. And then it'll tell you how to go into your account, usually to access your account. And we always recommend you change this, but it's your social security number is your ID. Last 4 digits of your social security number is your passcode. Once you go in there, please change it. So whatever you want to change it to.
You guys have questions?
When can we start calling for the exit interview?
Anytime, huh?
Yeah, you're gonna, when do you think you could send us a list?
I can send you that list tomorrow. You just need to know names, not necessarily.
Yeah, so if they get a call and they say, we're from Stevens Point, we can look and say, okay, this is really,
Yeah, I can send you the list.
Yeah, we'll get
tomorrow.
that
Okay.
list over tomorrow. And
Yeah.
so within the next, give us, maybe let's say next week start. Give us a few days rolling, but,
If you don't do it, you forget about it.
yeah.
You make the call and get it done. That's one more thing less thing to check off, you know?
So you had no administration costs for the special payout. Are there maintenance fees?
there's no asset management fee that you get with the broker or anything like that. It's an annuity, okay? So the pricing is built into the, for the insurance carrier, it's built into the interest rate. So most insurance companies, as a rule of thumb, okay, you look at the 10-year treasury note. Okay, right now it's above 4, barely, okay? If that's a situation and they're offering you 3.25 and they have administrative costs, they also have what people don't understand is anytime in the annuity business, when you give a guarantee like this account has, you actually have to set money aside in reserves to cover that guarantee. So there's costs involved. So that's what I tend to look at when I, in a very broad stroke, how are they making money? What are they giving me? What are they getting? There's also CMOs, there's also a lot of other things that they invest in. But the company is National Life Group. I've been with them since 1990. They've been around for 176 years. They're A+ rated. They got all the bells and whistles as far as all the ratings. So they've been doing it for a long time, and we've been using them for a long time. So.
Yeah, and if you don't want it there, you want it somewhere else, you just
Sure.
move it.
Move it.
Yeah.
But you can't move it in the medical. If it goes in the medical, it's good. Goes in the special pay, yeah, you can do whatever you want. And
Just be
again,
careful if you're under 55. I mean, under 55. If you're under 65.
no, for what?
So let's say you're 56, 57 years old, and your broker wants you to move it to an IRA. Be careful about that,
There's limits.
because there's this thing called the rule of 55 with tax sheltered annuities, which basically means when you separate yourself from your employer, you can start pulling money out before you're 59 and a half was the number I was thinking, before you're 59 and a half. So if you're not yet 59 and a half, you really don't want to move it to an IRA, because then you can't get at it until you're 59 and a half.
Without a 10% tax penalty.
Without paying penalties. So a 403B and 401Ks actually you can get at before you're 59 and a half, as long as you separate from your employer. So that would be my only advice if you are to move it. I wouldn't move it to an HRA if you're under 59 and a half, or to an IRA if you're under 59 and a half.
Unless you just plan not to use it.
That's true.
We had a lady up in Hayward, she, we did the meeting with her and the money went in the special pay and we said, okay, just so you know, you're over 55, but you're under 59 and a half, so if you move the money to an IRA account and you want to take the money out, and this is exactly what happened, she rolled the money to her broker put it in a self-directed IRA, and she was 57, she wanted some money to take a trip on, she pulled the money out, she called our office and she was really mad because she says, well, you guys first of all, we don't hit you with the 10%, that's a federal government, Okay, that's their rules, not ours. And we told her, we said, listen, you move the money, you should have talked to your broker who moved the money into a self-directed IRA, because the rules are different for an IRA than a tax sheltered annuity. So when we use a tax sheltered annuity, it's like Mike said, it's 55 and separated from service, and you can take the money out. So if you're 55 and you retire and you get this lump sum of money, you want to pull it out, all you're going to pay is income tax on it, state and federal. There's no 10% tax penalty. And believe me, there's a lot of financial people that don't know that. So, but anyways, just some rules and stuff. There'll be a test next Tuesday. It's open book.
Other questions? You guys are the first ones coming through with this new plan, so hopefully it's.
So
Finally done.
if I have a monthly premium I wanna use it for, maybe that's all I wanna use it for, just
Sure.
till it's done. I got 10,000 in there, probably 3 years or something, I might, it depends. I don't know how much I wanna take out for that. Is that every month? Is that something that I have to ask for every month? And is that, like the $4, every time that goes into that, that's a $4. It's not a lot of money, I don't care about the $4, but I'm just wondering, is that what happens?
You can do what we call a reoccurring premium. You only fill out one form, okay? And then every month, like clockwork, so let's say you want it on the 15th, they'll send you whatever the distribution is or whatever. You're gonna have to turn in, we'll get something, some of our employers will give us what their health insurance costs are, and we'll use that as a verification of what you're gonna cost. Sometimes, they'll have information from the state that of what you're gonna be using the money for, so that we have to have some type of record for the reimbursement. Once we have that, then you can determine, do you want all of that money each month to be taken out and sent to you every month, or do you want a portion of it? And then that would be just a reoccurring premium happening every month, and you only do one form. Now, if you want to change that a year later, okay, or stop it, just let us know that you want it stopped. If you want to change the amount, send in another form. But no, the reoccurring premium, you only do one form, and that's it. Every single month, it comes out like clockwork.
So
And
it's only the $4 then.
Yeah,
It's just one $4.
each month.
Oh, that's what I'm.
So
trying to get
the
to.
maximum cost, if you did a reimbursement and the $5.50 is $114 a year. Interest, just to give you an idea, interest on $10,000 at 3 1/4 is $325. But you're getting 12,000, so you're gonna have more interest accumulation after the fees are taken out for your reimbursement every month. So you'd be on the plus side.
Yeah, depending where they are, there's that
Right,
threshold of
exactly.
4,000 something where it starts to, fees start to be more than,
You could just pay the premiums and then do it once at the end of the year?
Sure.
It's just-
And if I own the company. So here's what I want you to do. If you go into the medical, you're getting ready to turn in your first reimbursement, call our office and say, listen, this is John from Stevens Point. Just retired, just want to make sure, Bruce told me to give you guys a call, just wanted to make sure that everything is filled out correctly. They'll walk you through the reimbursement claim form. Okay, that's what they're there for. Okay, same thing with Payout. Bruce told me to call, I just wanted to make sure. I don't want you to submit a claim and then have it bounced, because I didn't put in I didn't sign it, or I didn't date it, or something crazy stupid like that, okay? So I want you to have a very pleasant experience. So when you do your first one, just give us a call and just walk through. It'll only take not even 5 minutes, okay? And they'll ask you, do you have your receipt, okay? And then if you want to basically submit it through the secure website, you can actually submit that through our secure website as well, through Payout, okay? But they're there to help you, to walk you through this process. Now, here's what will happen. You'll do your exit interview. A determination will be made. It's not going to be secret. You'll know what it is, okay? You'll know right then, okay? Because it's basically what is determined based on what your needs are. And in this particular situation, they will send you a link. It's a DocuSign thing. You fill out the form, okay? And basically you'll include your beneficiaries or your dependents, depending on the plan. Please have that information available, save some time. So if you don't know your spouse's social security number or whatever, or your dependent's information, get that, because that's what you'll need to put on there. Another question is, do you want electronic statements or not? Okay, that'll be another, and then we'll need your email address. Okay, that's important. Not obviously the one that you have here at the school district, we need your home one. And the reason for that, we don't send you solicitations. The reason why we need your email address is in the event one of your forms comes back and it's not filled out correctly. It's much easier to email you to your email address. So that's a communication, or you can email us and say, I didn't get my statement. When are those due? And you can communicate by email. Or worst case scenario, just pick up the phone. I'm kind of a phone guy. A lot of things can be done over the phone versus sitting typing out an email, but anyway. So any other questions, you guys? You have my card. My 515, that's Des Moines. I live in Des Moines, okay? If you have any issues whatsoever, okay, because you guys this year are the guinea pigs. No, I'm just kidding. We've actually had people go through the plan here at the school district for years. Call me. I don't care if you call me on the weekends, okay, at night. I'm self-employed, okay? So I work on the weekends, I work at night, I don't work all the time. If you don't get a hold of me, leave me a message and a good time to call you. Okay, because I want this to be a pleasant experience for you. So you have my direct phone number, my cell number, and then you also have my direct email address. So, but I'd prefer if you're gonna call on the weekends, Mike is always available on the weekends.
I'm not even available right now, I'm somewhere else.
No, seriously, if something comes up, because, you know, I've run through this, for me in my own personal experience, oh my gosh, I only work from 9 to 5, you know, or 9 to 4, or something like that. And sometimes, you know, you can't reach somebody business hours or something. Of course, now it's a lot easier with texting and email. You can text me too if you want. But anyway, so you got my personal information, feel free to give me a buzz. Any other questions, you guys?
So we got, I'm gonna have a monthly payment I have to make to a health insurance company. I have to give you that receipt, so you pay me that exact amount? Or if it's more and I just want part of it, I'm only gonna ask you for part of it? So you need that receipt every time, or how is that, you know, once we've established that I'm paying X amount per month, is that good enough? How is that?
Yeah, the verification under IRS rules is they won't come back after us, they'll come back after you, okay? So when you submit for like a reoccurring premium, you only have to do that once, unless that premium changes, and then you can resubmit. But as long as you want that, that's gonna continue until you're out of money. So, but we need verification of that claim.
So if I have a $1,000 monthly and I wanna just take 500 out, I show you the thing saying, this is my $1,000 monthly bill. I don't want 500 going into my checking
Yep.
account.
You'll fill it out on the reimbursement claim for it, it's $500.
And then that just happens, and pretty much after that, I probably never have to get hold of you.
Pretty much,
runs
yeah,
out.
it runs out, yeah.
Or you die and the school district gets your money.
I don't care who gets my money when I die.
Actually goes into the Mike Kurtz account.
We didn't want to tell you that, it might be a little negative there, but.
No, we don't want it, so we want you to have the money. If you have any problems, you can call me too. You know, if you're, and I'll be happy to help you out or give Bruce a call for you.